Yes, amnesty for bandits is an option that we could consider. If you look at the marginal cost of peace, the cost that you have to pay to maintain peace, and then if you have the peace, and then what would be the marginal benefit? So now you have to compare the two things. Is the marginal cost equals to the marginal benefit? Or is the sacrifice worth the gain? So you have to look at how much the amnesty will cost. What is amnesty? What kind of amnesty? Is it the normal amnesty we are talking about? And then we're going to look at the benefit we're going to get after that. Is it the best and the last option you have? Because when you have insecurity, you have to come out with short-term and long-term measures. The amnesty can only come in as a short-term measure. Amnesty is dialogue, so to say, dialogue to have a compromise, to have an understanding between, in this case, between the government and the hostile group or the armed gangs. And now, who is to call for amnesty? I'm not a proponent of amnesty. So the crime people commit determines whether they deserve amnesty or not. The invitation for amnesty should not come from the government, because it's a sign of weakness for the government to say these people are attacking innocent Nigerians, and you are the first to say, oh, please, I cannot fight you, come, let's have amnesty. And who is going to say that? They will be the ones to say that. They should be pressed to the limit that they say, okay, we are not going to do it again. Please, don't attack us anymore. Okay, we're not going to do it. And the government will say, okay, don't do it again. Number two is the government will now say, okay, you come and sit down. We are going to give us your demand. What do you want? Then that will make you stop this kind of violence. The people might say, okay, we want roads, we want hospitals, we want to be integrated, we want to have amenities and infrastructures. We will stop this. Because if you watch the video that was released by Daily Trust, they said they've been neglected. And people even call them not Nigerians, because they are not seen as normal Nigerians because of this kind of segregation according to their own terms. And that's just justifying what they are doing, but this is a root cause of it. To me, amnesty is a very complex and difficult thing, and is going to cost Nigeria a lot. But amnesty could be temporary. But the effect of this kind of amnesty, the second one I mentioned, could have a repercussion. The repercussion is, now this serves as a lesson for others. Okay, so now if I want to get this attention and this big money, so I need to be violent, I need to carry arms. Because there is no proactiveness from the side of security. Because these people know where they are.
Absolutely. The
Daily Trust reporter went to them, had an interview with them. There are some phone conversations. They are not outside Nigeria, they are in Nigeria. There should be security intelligence, there should be information that will enable us to track these people without even causing harm to their captives. And amnesty can only tackle one aspect of the insecurity, but it cannot forever resolve it and prevent it. The long-term measure is doing something entirely different. And this also affects our ways of life. And it affects the way we govern, the way we share resources, the way we do everything. For if you continue with this kind of systems in Nigeria, there will continuously, forever, going to be violence, crisis, and insecurity. Now, the recent one is banditry. The areas that we are not affected before, they are not affected. Look at Zamfara, look at Katsina, look at Sokoto, and look at Kaduna. Look at Abuja-Kaduna Road. And then you now ask yourself, what's happening? What is happening in a particular region? What's peculiar to this kind of location? Now, there is similarity between the ways of life of people in Northeast and the Northwest. Niger is now the North Central state that is being severely affected. But then you study the environment. What really happened? What sort of people? What sort of governance we have in this kind of environment? And then we take measures, the long-term measures. And the long-term measure is the measure that will ensure everyone has level access to provisions. We should have encouragement and incentives for well-behaved and responsible Nigerians than to those criminals. Criminals, you just have to crush them. You just have to be merciless on criminality. But you need to be very merciful and provide incentives to well-behaved Nigerians. So there should always be incentives to become patriotic and responsible Nigerian. The fact is that if we have to tackle insecurity for a long period of time, we have to invest so much amount of money. And now, do you have enough to provide for everyone? What's really scary is that people are being followed to their homes, killed, and some of them abducted. And no one is safe. Even if you are in your house, even in your home, you are not safe. If you see yourself alive to Nigeria today, you're only lucky. So your survival should not be based on luck. You should have this kind of guarantee of peaceful life, that you have to have this kind of liberty to live without any fear of attack. Now you're afraid, you don't want to wear certain clothes or drive certain cars or follow certain road. And because you are afraid, your life could be threatened. And this is not going to augur well economically and socially. So to me, looking at the long term, now government has to spend so much to provide, especially equal access to quality education to everyone. Sheikh Gumi was trying to give them the Islamic knowledge and the implications of what they are doing from their religious perspective. Because if people have religious knowledge, they will not do the kind of criminality. The way I looked at it is him going out there to preach to them that killing people, abducting innocent people is un-Islamic, and they should not do it. If they don't know it, now they should know. And that is all right as a cleric. So but what the Zamfara state government is doing, you mentioned national legislatures and now the governor. Well, so far we can see results in Zamfara state because there's a tremendous reduction in the cases of kidnapping and attacks in Zamfara state compared to what happened before this current administration. So I think I would like to applaud their effort, their commitment. And if everyone is making a commitment based on their own belief, if you believe there should be amnesty, commit to it. If you believe these people should be treated as criminals, commit to it. So whatever approach you believe in, what we don't want is to become lackadaisical, to become indifferent about it. So I understand there should be a consistency, there should be a uniform, but you cannot force these people to have a common agreement because they are fundamentally different people. They have different perspective about issues. They are from different political parties, different individuals. Now, if you look at Kaduna State, the personality of the governor is far different from the personality of the Zamfara State governor. And the advisors are entirely different. And they're different parties, political parties. So you find it very difficult. Even though it's a regional problem, there should be a regional policy. It's recommended. They should have it. It's the best thing to do. But if they cannot do that, everyone should commit to what they believe in. If you believe in dialogue, let's do that. If you commit in fighting these people, just do it to the extreme, whatever you want to do. And that's the temporary measure. Because if you keep fighting these people, again and again, they subside, you catch these people, you kill them, you bring others who will come on board. Okay. So unless you know the root cause of that. And some of the big changes is income redistribution. We have to look at the formula, how we redistribute income among Nigerians. We have to start by reducing the cost of governance because it all comes down to provision. It all comes down to having an equal equal access to minimal standard of living. Because when there is any standard of living, people are on their own. People are their own government. They have to look for money anyhow to provide everything they want. So there is going to be so much desperation. In a capitalist economy. Yeah, if people are also working harder at their own level and they are not making it, they become frustrated. So you are tempted to have money, or you are competing, you are desperate for money, and now you are frustrated. When you have desperation and frustration, people are likely to be used, even if they have a relative level of education. And now, especially now looking down to access to educational facilities, this requires huge of investment. This will require Nigeria spending 3 years budget consecutively. That you are not doing anything. You're only investing in education. You know, there is difference between our lifestyle and doing the right thing. And we have to be willing to change our lifestyle. Culture is what determines the growth. There is positive relationship between the level of your growth and stability and your culture. If you have a very expensive culture and a very, let me just stick to that, a very expensive culture. So you're not going to have certain level of progress. If you think how well you are, how successful you are, is based on the kind of car you drive. Not by the content of your character, not by their contribution in society, but the mighty of your house, the flashy of your phone, how latest your car is, and that tells how good you are. This is a cultural thing. So you have to change this culture. And that time, people will not have so much pressure, so much demand and desperation for the money. And people will not do kidnapping because what do I need to do kidnapping? Why should I kidnap people? Is it not for money? I don't have any demand for money now. Is it housing? I have it. Is it healthcare? I have it. Is it education? I have it. So there should be, by that time, there should be reduction. There will be a reduction in desperation and how much people love money or need money. Now people with money, they are served like what? And if you have money, you can ask people to do anything for you, and they will do it. But because now money is everything, so now we have to have economic restructuring. We have to restructure our economy, and that the government has to sacrifice a lot. Politics should not be so lucrative like this. That people that are suffering from poverty, they think when they get into politics, they will get out of poverty. No, you should think of doing business. But when we can then become intentional to provide all this access so that people will not become afraid. That if I die, what happened to my child? What happened to my family? Will they get this? So there's no fear of access. And now life will now become how better you are, how well you are, how successful you are is based on your impact, based on your creativity, based on your invention, but not how much money you have. And we have people that are doing great things, creativity, but they're not being celebrated. Why? Because they didn't have money. So people serve the money. So we have to demolish this capitalism because it doesn't feed us. And this is a long-term measure I'm talking about. And then another issue in our previous conversation I highlighted, which is very germane, is the issue of population management. Because when we have this explosion and there is no match between resources and population growth, we're always going to have this kind of gap. And these gaps are source of danger. When our resources cannot cater for everyone's need, those left out, they will feel segregated and they will come back in this form and cost us even more. God will not punish you for what you cannot handle. So, okay, I cannot handle 4. God will not punish you for not giving birth to 4 children. Okay, this is what I can afford. If your income increases, then you can increase your liability. But what you should not do is to take what you know you cannot handle. You know you cannot handle 20 children. You're giving birth to 20 children. And your income is 20,000. You're collecting minimum wage and you're giving birth to 20 children. You cannot afford. What happens? You're now creating gap within your own house. And that's the gap that I'm talking about. So Nigerian government should look at itself like at this micro level. And say, Nigerian government, we are like the father in the family. And we are giving birth to this population. And do we have income to provide for them? If we don't have, then create a single gap. The resources should outweigh the population. But if population should not outweigh the resources. If you do that, you're creating the unwanted gap. And this unwanted gap will come back in this form of insecurity. I think for policing, I think let's stick to the national policies, policing system, and then make it better. And improve their salary, their allowances, and give them better training and equip them and with intelligence. Not necessarily physical physical strength, but equipment, apparatus, intelligence, so they can work. This war this time around is not about the strength of your arms, but the strength of your intelligence.